All right, let us begin. Okay, so VOR, the full form is very high frequency omnidirectional range. Okay, this is the full form VOR. The principle is basically bearing. It also calculates the bearing. Okay, not also. It calculates the bearing by phase comparison. Why not also? Because that device ADF and NDB was calculating the relative bearing. And this beautiful big structure is called the VOR. All right. And we're going to see how we use it. It produces bearing information usually aligned with the magnetic north at the VOR location. So its basic role is to calculate the bearing, this bearing on which the aircraft is. Frequency band is 108 to 117.9 megahertz. So this is VHF, of course, VHF, wherein the 108 to 112 is being used by ILS. ILS is the next chapter. So they use only the, okay, because the ILS uses only, so use only even first decimals. That means from band 110, 112 to 117.9, we can all use the frequency, but because the ILS is being shared, so you can only use the even first decimals. So even first decimal is basically 108.2 or 109.4. These are the examples you can use. Okay. Emission code. Every application has an emission code. This has alpha, niner, whiskey. Alpha is main carrier amplitude, modulated double-sided. So it's a modulated, so you don't require a VFO. Niner is a composite system. See, it's not to be remembered. Just alpha, niner, whiskey. That is to be remembered. I'm just explaining you. W is a combination of telemetry and telegraphy. That's it. Okay. You can see this. Basically, viewers uses to calculate this angle. Angle is what? It is the bearing itself. Okay. What bearing is the aircraft with respect to the ATC or the airport? What are the advantages? Why VOR is so famous? The advantages over ADF and NDB. First of all, it's free from static, and it does not affect. It does not suffer from night effect. Two major advantages. Secondly, cockpit indications are easier to see and interpret. We'll see why. Because firstly, in ADF and NDB, what happened is, okay, bad circle, right? So even if the aircraft was going out, right? If the aircraft, let's say, was going outside today, and this is our NDB. What was our pointer? Pointer was in this direction. So this direction. Okay. So you can see this could be a confusion to some pilots who don't know how to read the NDB. If you want to go outside, you have to follow the tail. These all things some pilots forget also. So we have cockpit indications are easy to interpret. We'll see how. VOR is frequency paired with DME. Now DME is also a chapter in radio frequency, radio propagation, radio navigation. DME is something we use for measuring the distance. So not only the bearing, you can also find the distance from the airport. So this is very important. Range and bearing, which is also known as rho theta combination, because one is giving you rho, which is the range, and bearing gives you the theta, which is the angle. Okay, both are given. The most important fact is it has a warning device in case of equipment failure. That is, it indicates if the equipment is non-serviceable, unserviceable, then it will give you an indication, which is really important for pilots. It also has smaller areas. This is our added advantage. So this is what is beneficial of VOR, and that is why we're going to study very high frequency omnidirectional range. How is the VOR? So suppose that this is my VOR in the center. Okay, I'll use another pen. This is my VOR. Okay, in the center. This is my VOR. Now, assuming that VOR is like in the center, and I have multiple ropes. All these are ropes. Okay, I am sending in all the directions. You can see 0, 1, 0, 0 to 0, all these directions, and whichever rope the aircraft catches to, that is the bearing, and that bearing is depicted on the aircraft. Aircraft knows what the bearing he or she is at, and he can easily identify what the airport has to go or she has to go. Okay. This is how the viewer functions. This is just a simple layman terms. Okay. The users marking the beginning, the end, and center line of airways or section of airways. Okay. As a letdown aid. So this is the marking. So runway markings would be also used. Okay. Runway markings. As a letdown aid, I've already explained you letdown, right? Just after leaving a hold, you do a letdown procedure to initiate the approach. As a holding point for aircraft, some in the bigger aircraft, what we have is in the bigger airports, the holding point. Now, the holding point, I'll be explaining regulations. It's basically a point where after you cannot enter before a permission for your departure. That is a departure clearance. So it is just before the runway, okay, before you cannot enter. So this point can also be decided with this. How? Because it calculates the range and your bearing. It can also be used for RNAV. Now, RNAV is area navigation. It's not in your syllabus as well. It's basically a later portion using your GPS and all. Okay. Can be coupled with autopilot as well. So there are many advantages and even more beneficial than an ADF. So why not use it? Basically, as I told you, the rope is being spun. The rope is spinning. And whenever the rope hits the aircraft, that is the indication. So see the NDB, NDB, VOR, okay? See the VOR, it has a function. It's like spinning a rope, and wherever it hits the aircraft, that is the bearing. Even if you want to calculate with the help of magnetic north, this is my north. If you calculate, this is approximately 90 degrees. So it is more than 90 degrees, that is 105. And that is your bearing. Okay. This is not a relative bearing. Why? Because see the heading is displaced. The heading is displaced, right? So relative bearing actually will be this much. Anyways, we're not talking about relative bearing. Relative bearing is past. We're talking about the bearing. The principle of operation. Let's discuss the not so interesting thing, principle of operation. The principle of operation of this is relatively simple than the NDB, but we'll see how. The VOR pairing is obtained by phase comparison. Now this is also asked in DGCA. What is the principle of operation of a VOR? It is bearing by phase comparison. Okay, this is directly asked into DGCA. So what is phase comparison? Okay, I have not told you something which was not related to you at that moment, and now it is related. So what the actual VOR is doing, okay, VOR, if you see the first diagram, there are number of aerials present. Okay, there are number of aerials present. What is happening is this is known as reference wave. This is reference aerial or wave. Now, what I'm talking about reference is that this is the one which is sending out signals in all the directions. Okay. Yeah. So, and the variable one is, okay, what happens with the variable one? There is another one which is spinning, which I have showed you the video. Okay, it is spinning or rotating. Now, wherever the phase, now what do you understand by phase? I also draw the diagram. Phase is basically the polar diagram. So there is a reference wave, okay, and there is a variable wave. Both are a radio wave, so both will have their own graphs. Wherever it matches, wherever reference wave and the variable wave overlap each other because the aircraft would be present there, that is where we'll find the bearing. No problem, this is just the introduction. We'll see what the words speak. Okay, an aircraft's VOR receiver measures the phase difference or the angular difference between two signals from the VOR transmitter. So one signal is from the reference wave, the second is from the variable wave. A 30 Hertz frequency modulated omnidirectional. Now, what is frequency modulated? Modulation is what? It is presenting information on your carrier wave, right? If you present information, that is when you will be able to hear because of the human abilities to hear into the frequency band. So this one is frequency modulated. That means that its frequency has been changed so that a person could hear this. Okay, it's 30 hertz frequency modulated omnidirectional reference phase signal which produces a constant phase regardless of receiver's peering from the viewer, which is this. You can see reference wave. These all in the all directions reference waves are sent. Okay, this is 30 hertz. So please remember that it is a FM or a frequency modulated. I think you remember by FM something else also. So FM is it's frequency modulated and it's a reference signal. Whereas the second part, 30 hertz amplitude modulated. So what's the difference between the reference and the variable? This one is amplitude modulated. I hope you remember what's an amplitude. Amplitude is the highest displacement, correct? So this one is the modulation in the amplitude. Okay, this is variable phase directional signal created by rotating the transmission pattern. But there is a word called limacon. Now, what is limacon? Remember in NDB, I told you that when you are putting or you are sending in current in a circuit, radio wave is formed. That radio wave will give you what? It will give you a polar diagram. The polar diagram was this way. Okay. And 8. Yeah, it's flipping 8 or 8. Simply like this. Okay. Now, what is happening here? In that, I told you that there is ADF and NDB. So both will have a different club together, right? Whereas in this, what is happening is, in this only we have one on the ground. We're not talking on the air. So VOR is present only on the ground. So it is only creating one. This is because of the reference signal or the reference wave we'll talk about. The second polar diagram is because of the variable signal or variable wave. Now that creates this different one. Okay, this circle one direction rotation. This is this small. So what happens is because of these two polar diagrams, we have a diagram like this, which you can see here. Okay, you can see this is the diagram which is created because of the what do we call variable signal. Okay, this is the reference signal. So all in all, what we're having is a shape like a limacon. This is called a limacon shape. This ugly shape. Okay, limacon. And this is what is important here. In the previous one, what was the shape? Cardioid. In this, what is the shape? Limacon. Okay, we'll discuss briefly what is the difference between these two. Until now, you just need to put in your mind that this is the shape which is formed. And you can see that this is rotating as well. All right. So as I discussed, 30 hertz frequency modulated reference signal is synchronized with the 30 revolutions per second rotating directional AM signal. Okay, so that thing which I was telling you that it is rotating, it is 30 revolutions per second. Okay, in seconds, 30 revolutions, whereas the reference signal, it's present. So the 230 hertz modulations are in phase to an aircraft's VOR receiver when it is due magnetic north to the VOR beacon. Okay. The phase difference measured at any other point will equate to the aircraft's magnetic bearing from the VOR. See this. I told you whenever the variable and reference signal meet, that is 0. And you can see both the polar diagrams or both the graphs, when they have a slight difference between each other, you can see that there is a 45-degree difference between each other. Now, how do you calculate the phase difference? It's simple. You have the variable wave. Okay. You have the reference signal. These two signals are here. What is it? I have drawn these two diagrams. So here the phase difference is equal to 0. But suppose that my reference signal is not matching with it. Suppose my reference signal is like this. Now what is this? This is a different signal than this, right? Here, where is it starting? If I have the graph, you already know this, right? I think you know this, but let me explain you. This is 0. This is 90. This is 180, 270. Okay. So this reference signal is starting where? It is starting at 090. So if you plot it, this graph will start from here. So how much is the difference? 90. 90 is the phase difference. So you can see this diagram. Okay, see that if I draw the graph here, you will have the same diagram which I have just drawn above it. Okay, the other diagram is this one. See, this diagram is similar to this one. Okay, and that is how you calculate the phase difference. So viewer senses the bearing how? Whichever the bearing, wherever these phase signal is hit, okay, wherever the bearing is hit, okay, sorry, wherever the signal is hit, and we calculate the bearing, that bearing is transferred into the aircraft, and that is how the aircraft gets to know which way is that particular. Okay, that is how we calculate the bearing on the aircraft. Remember, VOR is not connected with ATC. So ground may no one is using VOR. Okay, VOR is a ground station. Okay, the real use of VOR is on the aircraft. Okay, on the aircraft we have something known as CDI. I'll just give you a hint. CDI is an instrument which will sense these variable and reference signal. Okay, when that particular pointer senses whatever the signal is, okay, and this CDI will sense the signal. These phase differences are sensed by the CDI. When this CDI senses the phase difference, it will automatically tell the aircraft that guy, that is where the airport is. And that is how we depict. Okay. Anyways, I hope you already get this. So this is the same diagram. Okay, I have tried it with all the things I can to describe the same thing. This is the Lima con. Okay, you can see the phase difference as well in all the diagrams. And if you go to chapter 2 or 1 of your Oxford, you will see some questions also of phase difference. And now you will be able to do those. So as I told you before also, the 230 Hz signals are modulated differently to prevent interaction and merging at the aircraft receiver. Of course, then there is no point if there are the same signals you're sending. The rotating Lima-Con polar diagram, which provides the directional information, is created by combining the polar diagrams of the rotating loop and the reference signal. In early viewers, the loop rotation was mechanical, but now it's electronic. Okay, I put only the precise information here. There is a lot of junk present in your books, Oxford books, which is not actually required for you. Okay, so pay attention to these and notes. So what do you see here? What is this?
Lighthouse.
Correct. This exactly. Yeah, this is a variable signal. Okay. Now, when it's projecting on the screen, imagine that you are an aircraft and you are looking at the airport. So whenever the variable signal hits you, and that is the point, the CDI will show you that guy, there is that airport. Okay. So this is a beautiful example. Another way is this. So if you see this, it is actually calculating the angle. Okay, this calculates the angle. Now, approximately, if you see, the bearing is approximately 290, I'll say. Okay, no 290, sorry, 240. Okay, so this is 270. This is 0. This is 180. So it is in between those points, and you can see it's the same thing like lighthouse. Okay, it's the same thing like lighthouse, and this is the phase difference which is being measured. Now let's discuss the previous chapter. We taught you cardioid. Here we're teaching you Lima-Con. So that you don't get confused in exam, I just want to clear out some important things. Lima-Con forms on the ground because where is it? It's on the VOR. Okay. Cardioid is on the aircraft. Why? Because this is on the ADF. Now, right question has come in the Oxford also. We use the NDV, aircraft position variation. Now the variation, remember variation is the same thing, TVM variation. Okay, yeah, so the aircraft position variation and VOR in the NDB, wherever variation is given, you will apply it on the aircraft because the structures are wherever they are created, that is where you will apply the variation. There are many examples in Keith Williams. You will find that it is given variation. So you have to apply accordingly. And if the question is giving you variation in VOR, Where will you apply it? You will apply where the beacon position is. Okay, this is a direct question, guys. Cardioid is fixed. Lima cone is rotating. Okay, remember that cardioid diagram was fixed like this. Okay, even if you draw two, it was fixed. It was not rotating, whereas Lima cone is rotating. A radial QDR is a magnetic bearing from a VOR station. So remember the second chapter which I told you the application, VDF, right? It has QDR. You can see the diagram here. This is how see the cardioid is being found. Sorry, yeah, Lima cone. This is the Lima cone, not the cardioid. Okay, it's a similar structure which I was created. So instead of that bump like this, okay, there should be a bump like this. But yeah, it makes sense now. Okay, this is the major difference. That's it. Now you can see this. Now I think you have a mental picture now. Okay, this is the VOR, and you can see all these radials. Okay, radials are formed by the phase differences, and see you can see here the QDR as well. QDR is from the station magnetic bearing. What is automatic monitoring? All the VOR beacons are monitored by an automatic site monitor. It automatically switches off. So I told you that there is a warning depiction system, and this is how it's monitoring. So the VOR itself switches off whenever these three things happen. Any of the things will happen. Okay, bearing information change exceeding 1 degree, only 1 degree. So you can see the accuracy of VOR. A reduction of greater than 15% in the signal strength of both or either the 30 Hertz modulation or the RF carrier frequency. The carrier frequency I've explained you, right? Information and all, modulation. Now, what is the signal strength? What will it depend on? It will depend on the power. Suppose there is an electrical failure near the site. There is no electricity, then there will be no power, and hence the VOR will switch off itself. Okay, power. And lastly, we have failure of the monitor. If the automatic monitor itself fails, then the VOR will switch off also. Okay, it's a fail-safe structure. If a VOR is transmitting the identification TST, okay, that means it is indicating it is on a test mode and the pilot should not use it. Okay. Now let's come to DOC, which I was talking about in the all previous lectures. Right? DOC, what is that? Designated operational coverage. And now we'll explain you what that is. To guarantee that two particular facilities don't have their signals combined or fluting does not take place. Okay, between the 160 frequencies available worldwide, we have the channels 108 to 117905. Okay, this is the megahertz channel. So if we have 160 worldwide availability, and if you imagine how many number of airports we have, of course there is supposed to be some of the other airports using the same frequency. All right, it would be necessary to separate the frequency beacons by at least twice their LOS. LOS is line of sight. The formula I have already told you. What are the things as a pilot you have to monitor? Do not use the VOR outside the designated operational coverage area. The operational coverage, where is the DOC given? It is given in the AIP. If you have studied regulations, you might know AIP is what?
The line of sight.
Yeah, sorry, someone's saying line of sight.
Line of sight is just the range formula.
Same thing. 1.23 height, root and all. Okay. No, into me plus. Okay. Have a plus aega. So height of receiver. All right. What is AIP, guys? Does anyone know AIP?
Article information.
Okay, good. Now these are issued by AAI and the DGC itself. Now these are cumulatively produced so that the pilots and the facilities provider like airport, whatever the authority which is governing the airports, okay, if it's privately owned also, they have an information that what is the DOC, designated operational coverage. Okay, accuracy is 5 degrees on 95% occasion. Now we're talking about the DOC. We're not talking about the VOR. This is a DOC. There are two number of VORs here. Let's say this is alpha. This is Bravo. Okay. When you're talking about, we have two different VOR. You can see the DOC is fixed. Okay, this is the area where there will be no signal. Why? You should understand this, that both of them are having VORs. These are VORs, let's say. So this is the place where there will be no signal, and this is the place you will find interference. Okay, both. Okay, if I have an aircraft flying from this area, both of these will actually that giving signals to the VOR. And if you have actually if you fly an aircraft which has two sets of communication, okay, com and two sets of navigation, so you can even set at two different navigation frequencies and you will actually get both of them. It's just that when you arrive in this, you are asked to maintain only that particular VOR frequency. Okay, and how are we depicted if in the AIP it is given? How will you depict what is the DOC and all? If it's given DOC is 50/2 okay, 25, sorry. That means no interference will be there within 50 nautical miles, range up to 25,000 feet. So the first two digits indicate the range. I mean, before the oblique, whatever it's indicated, that indicates the range. And whatever it is indicated after the oblique, that is the height in per 1,000 feet. Okay. This is the second example, 100/50. That means what? 100 nautical mile of range and 50,000 feet. In this, you will see no other frequency being there present. Okay. All right. Station identification and range. This is also an important thing which as a pilot you should know. How will you identify which station is the frequency? This is present located within and also co-located. We're talking about the DME. Now range can only be calculated by the DME because VOR calculate kya karta hai? VOR calculates the bearing guys. So if you're talking about the range, that DME has to come. Okay. Now what is this? If you, Sarthak, go ahead. This is okay. Okay. This is sorry, 60 meters, not 600 meters. I don't know. There's a confusion here, right? In books, it's written 600 meters, but it should be 60 meters. That's how we convert it, right? 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. So what is this? I'll explain you. The VOR, the VOR and the DME, they are co-located. That means that if they are terminally used, okay, they should have at least 100 feet. Okay, that is the maximum difference between the installation of DME and VOR apart from each other. Because VOR, you can't just ask a VOR ground equipment to calculate a range. The DME has its own structure. The DME has its own principle of operations. So VOR might be present here. So at least in 100 feet of range from each other, they should be co-located. Then only they can co-locate themselves. This is the range. Okay, the en route or the en route area, it should have at least 200. Okay, that is the maximum we're talking about. If these two facilities are present with these two range, that is when we can have a co-location. That's what we're talking about. Not that much asked in the exams also. DGCA, I don't think they also know this. I mean, they must be knowing this. Sorry. Otherwise, no collocation will happen and have different identification Morse code. So as I told you, identification is something which we require as pilots. We should know by identification only by these 3-4 digits or letters, we can know which facility are we using. And unless and until VOR and DME are co-located within these two range, they will have the same identification. This is the range or the LOS, also known as line of sight. Okay. Answer always comes in nautical mile, guys. Please remember this. Now, if you guys are confused in Morse code, okay, Morse code is simply, if you remember the days when we had telegraphy, okay, those people were used to pinch and send signals in Morse code. Okay, it's also known as TID DA combination. Okay, this is DA, this is DID. Okay, whatever it is. DID DA and all. They use all these fancy words now, but in the earlier days, we had all Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. They had to be written down in these codes. And when you press for some duration, it is called da. When you just tap it, it's called tit. Tit da, tit da. There are various combinations of all these alphabets. This is actually heard in your headsets when you tune into the correct frequency and you press this ident button. This ident full form is identification. And as a pilot, you'll be taught this how to identify the correct radians. All right. Okay. Now we talk about the Doppler VOR. We have some time before we end this session. Okay. This chapter is a huge one, so I'll not stress upon much. I'll just give a quick introduction to something which is effectively used these days, known as Doppler VOR. Okay. VHF beams used to suffer a lot of sight errors. Now, what is sight error?
Where they have been installed.
Correct. Okay. Suppose that our VOR is installed here. Okay. And there is a mountain. There's a mountain. There is something present here. The signals are weak. They are attenuated. They are reflected. Sight errors. Simple. DVOR or Doppler VOR aims at reducing these. Now, if you do not know the Doppler effect, I will definitely show you the next class. But just to give you a curiosity, I will like you to actually search. Here, we are operating without any rotating area. Important. It is having fixed 50 areas encircling a central area at a diameter of 44. Not required 44 meter and all. Just you need to remember how many areas it has. So it has 50 antennas present instead of one rotating one. The modulation is reversed. Now, what is modulation? I told you, right? FM, AM. In this one, we have the central aerial transmits the reference signal. Now, this reference signal is all directions. This is amplitude modulated in Doppler VOR, whereas we were taught in the previous one, conventional one, it was FM. And in this one, the fixed areas are transmitting at frequency modulated, which is supposed to be AM. Total in all, how many aerials or antennas we have now? One is the variable, one is the reference, and the 50 are variable. So we have 51 aerials on this particular thing. And the Limacon is also rotating anti-clockwise. So most things are acting opposite, and there is no rotating VOR aerial. Now, how is it supposed to actually work? Okay, we'll see this. This is a Doppler VOR. It's working on a principle like this. As you can see, these guys are switching one on one, and there are approximately 50. Here, let's say 50. There are 50 areas. I'll just pause it here now for your curiosity to find out what is Doppler effect. All right. Do remember to join the class tomorrow so that we can discuss Doppler VOR on time. All right. Chalo. Good night, guys. Okay. Have a good night. Good night.